Welcome, everyone, to Chirping Zebras, Episode 8. I'm Mark Riley, alongside Gino Binder Jr., and we have a great show tonight. But before we get into it, I want to bring up something from a couple of episodes ago, Episode 5 with Kelly Cook.
Oh, yeah, that was a great episode.
We talked that night about how the NHL should have a female official at some point.
Yeah.
And we put a reel out there, and it got some comments.
Good.
And not good ones, though. A couple people said, end the wokeness.
People just sit and wait and love to troll.
They said, this must be a real liberal podcast. And so my response to the guy was, have you watched the episode?
Do they know I'm from Salty?
Yeah, have you watched any of it? Like, you know, and so it was just interesting how, you know, people can suck. And, and you know, they jumped on, and of course, you know, why, and that's ridiculous and all this stuff. But the woke one, that cracked me up, especially the next reel we posted was about the two-man luge and women's curling. Yeah. So, you know, if you're watching, we appreciate you watching, and keep watching.
And keep commenting.
Keep commenting. Good, bad, or indifferent. We don't care. And if you have anything we want to talk about, you want us to talk about, please feel free to let us know.
Absolutely.
In the comments. And always, as always, like and subscribe. All right? We're coming to you tonight from beautiful AOA Studios up in Beverly.
Great spot.
Yep, awesome spot. And just to get our sponsors in, we have Referees Crease, which is the one-stop shop for everything.
Signing, training, you name it.
You name it. We also have Moby Cuts, our favorite barbershop. Our producer, Josh, got his lid busted before this episode, and he's looking pretty good. And also Berardi Irrigation out of Canton. So if you need your lawn sprinkled, go talk to Gabe, because he does good work.
Very good. He has a nice rake in his backyard, too.
Yeah, he does. He does. He hosted the CCM Hockey House, so we've seen that.
Yeah.
Before we introduce anything, you going to be chomping that gum all night?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't ref without chewing gum, and I don't think I can do the podcast. I get the dry mouth.
See, I tried to chew gum while I was reffing, and one time, this was back in the USHL, the gum got stuck in my whistle.
In the whistle, yeah.
Yeah, and from that moment on, and I couldn't get it out, I was pissed. I went to blow the whistle, nothing was happening.
So what the gum does with the whistle, like the little P in the whistle, sometimes it starts sticking. So I go through a lot of whistles. So I'm always like, whatever. But the one time, you think gum's bad? You know Nicky Laterio, right? My buddy Mad Dog.
Oh, yeah.
So he's reffing. I'm watching Nesson. He's down at Quinnipiac working for the Stu Cat in the ECAC back then. Right?
One of my favorite rinks.
Oh, my God.
Favorite coaches.
Oh, yeah, we got a couple of stories about down there. But Mad Dog's on TV, and he's doing a line change, and they zoom in on him, right? And he's sitting there chomping away, got the chapstick out, national television, doing the line change like that. And I was like, I wish you could like rewind and film it and record like you can now. Back then there was no hit and rewind on your TV, but man, that was absolutely hysterical.
Chomping and chapstick.
Yeah, there you go, Mad Dog. That was for you, pal.
Well, the chapstick I can relate to, because I've been hooked on, I call it crack wax.
Oh, yeah.
Because once you get on it, you can't get off of it. And I still use it to this day.
Yeah, every line change he does, he'll have, it's like a routine.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Well, I carry one in my ref pants. I'm putting it on out there for sure. So,
have you ever seen anybody bring food out and eat it during a game?
Yeah.
You have?
I haven't. But oh yeah.
First time was my last year working Hockey East, my partner did, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it's one thing if you have like Sour Patch Kids, that's a big one.
Yep, Skittles, yep. It was Skittles, a bag of chips you would have, yeah.
A bag of chips.
Yeah.
Bag of chips.
Yeah, bag of chips.
You shitting me?
A chip. I'm like, that is awesome.
There's some chocolate chip cookies out there at some rinks too that I actually would bring out, but
funny.
I just end up sticking it in my whistle. So, all right. So we have an awesome guest tonight, and he's actually our first non-hockey refereeing guest. Referee guest, non-player, but he is one of the funniest people I know. And before I bring him on, why don't you take a look at this clip and see how funny he is?
That's where I got in trouble. At the beginning of football season, she saw a charge for $1,200 to DraftKings. I know. And I had to explain to her, you know, that DraftKings is the company that sprays the foam insulation up in our attic. And they said they didn't get all of it. They might have to come back around the playoffs. Around the winter. They said I got to put in some sort of ventilation system called a fan duel. So you'll see that next month.
We want to welcome Jimmy Dunn.
Hello, fellas.
How's it going?
Thank you for having me.
And in case you don't, if you don't know Jimmy, he was on the McCarthy's a few years back, and right now he's on FRASIER. Plays Moose, a firefighter on FRASIER.
A big, slow firefighter from Boston with a heavy accent.
Can't find any of those around here.
Love it.
There's about 100 of us that could have got this gig.
Right? You play that role well.
He's got
I
a
can say
thicker
that.
accent. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
But you've done comedy all over the world.
Correct.
And now you're on your second sitcom.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
Pretty
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
It's,
cool.
It's this one is insane. I mean, it's Kelsey Grammer and it's the best writers in the world. And not that the other show wasn't amazing, but I'm only a really small part of this thing. But just to be standing there on a stage with Kelsey Grammer and getting a laugh from a studio audience and then seeing that on television is just like, I mean, come on.
I mean, as kids, right? You watch Chance growing up.
Oh,
right?
God,
And
yeah.
then now you're on a freaking show with him. Like, how
It's
cool
amazing.
is that?
It was
That is awesome.
I'll tell you a story when the first scene that I was in was in a bar on the show. There's a bar on the show called Mahoney's.
Yeah.
So the show is taping. They're about halfway through the taping. And now here comes my first scene. So they're walking me into my place. And they play music to keep the audience, jazzed up. And,
Alert.
they're playing the theme to Cheers. And
Oh, no kidding.
And they're walking me into my spot, right?
That's pretty cool.
And I'm like, and I look out, my wife's got tears, and I'm like, pull it together, not right now, man, right? But it was just like, it was surreal.
That's awesome.
It was just amazing.
That's like your Stanley Cup.
It really is. Well, you know what's funny? We say that in comedy. In comedy, we used to always say getting on Letterman was the Stanley Cup, right? That to me as a stand-up comic, that night that I did Letterman,
You crushed it. I watched that today, by
thank
the
you,
way.
man.
Yeah,
that was
awesome.
people ask, what's the best set you've ever done? It was that night.
That was pretty cool. Yeah,
That-
I
that
actually
was
listened to that on the
amazing.
ride up. I'm not
Right
kidding.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was but that was something that we all strived to do, and I got in just under the wire. But to me, that one was the Stanley Cup. That was the one that, like, as a comic, it's a badge that you can always say, yeah, well, I did Letterman. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Something you can so when you walk into a room, you got street cred. Like when you walk into the comedy things, right?
Yeah, that's big time. That's a club that people go, oh yeah, I saw you on Letterman.
I mean, even like refereeing, right? When you get into a new league, like the walk in, the linesman is sitting there like, oh, who the hell is this hotshot young referee?
Yeah.
And then you got to go out and prove yourself, right?
Right,
So it's
right.
almost like you got your badge, right?
well, comedy wise, and Mark knows this. When Boston is that badge for us. When we go to another city and they go, oh, this guy's from Boston, they immediately go, oh, all right, I don't want to go on after him, right? Because they know what we're going to do.
Yeah,
we're coming at you with pace,
Right.
And so, yeah, that's. I'd imagine that's a lot like refereeing, where people go, all right, well, he's done, he's the real deal,
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, I always say if you can headline in Boston, you can headline anywhere.
yeah.
And legit headline, and follow guys that are.
Now, why do you say that? Is it because of like the audience is a lot tougher on you guys, or it's just,
No, it's not.
or is it the competition between the comedians?
It's the guys above us.
Awesome.
It's the Tony V's, the Don Gavins, the Kenny Rogersons, the Lenny Clarks, the Steve Sweeneys. They set a bar that if we wanted any stage time at all, we had to be. You had to pound. You had to get laughs every. I mean, Don Gavin gets a laugh every 8 seconds. It's ridiculous his pace, and that's what we were trying to break into that. Right.
Yeah.
And they weren't letting anybody in.
Right.
And so if they ever came up to you and said, aside from Tony was always the best.
Tony's different.
But if any of those other guys ever came up and said, "Good set," you killed.
Yeah.
Right?
No, you did.
That's
it's
awesome.
true.
Yeah.
It's true. I remember doing a show with Gav, 300 people, and one table wouldn't laugh. And I couldn't stop focusing on that one table. So I got off, and he goes, great job. And I said, yeah, that table 15 wouldn't laugh. And he's like, what's wrong with you? Focus on the 290 that were laughing. And I'll never forget that. And but it also, I think, Boston is tough because, everyone's funny.
Yeah.
Right? We grow up busting each other's balls.
right.
That's all we do. Right? I mean, look at your
always have
family
a
alone.
comeback, yeah.
Your dad, your uncle, some of
Aldo,
the guys
yeah.
we referee with. they're funnier than a lot of the guys I know that do comedy.
I'm a professional stand-up comedian. I'm not even close to the funniest person in my family. Not even close.
Right.
Like, I might be top 5.
That's hilarious.
My brother's, everybody tells me my brother's funnier than me. You know?
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have a
It's all about stage presence and actually doing it, right? Remember that one time my uncle, you did the show, and
Yeah.
my uncle went up there, grabbed the mic. He's one of the funniest guys in the room. Like, when he gravitates a room, he can own it.
Yeah.
But you get him in front of a mic with no material,
Yeah, right.
and it's like,
A whole different thing.
He even said he tells like 2 jokes and he goes, man, this is harder than I thought. He just walked away, just defeated. Defeated.
I get that a lot from people going, hey, I'm really funny. I go, yeah, let me give you Dick Doherty's number and you can come call me in a couple of years. Tell me how good you are.
Right. Well, for me, refereeing, I did the refereeing, pro refereeing, before I got into comedy.
Yeah.
And that was like the perfect training ground because, it was all one-liners.
Yeah.
It was all, I wanted to get the last word in no matter what.
Right.
And I wasn't letting anyone
Really?
get
Funny.
one
That
up
hasn't
on me.
changed.
You know me too well.
We play poker and it gets so competitive.
oh, you're in the poker
Oh, yeah,
group?
look, he's one of my best friends, but when we play cards, it gets so competitive. And it's
nasty.
like, I can imagine what he was like,
That's how me and Mad Dog.
Yeah,
I brought
breaking
him
up
yeah.
a fight in a hockey rink. I can only imagine.
Oh, yeah,
That's awesome.
I get a little competitive. And you were my sensei. You were my poker sensei.
Well, at first you were just playing, and I was like, I gotta teach him the basics.
I was
terrible.
terrible.
Yeah.
I still am. I play with my, if my gut tells me Queen 6, I'm all in.
Yeah.
I go all in. And I
Which is-
shouldn't.
Which is
I
stupid,
shouldn't.
which is really, really dumb.
I mean, we grew up playing my buddy's, pool table down in his basement, right? Every night we'd go down there. We'd always have I think it was like Wednesdays we had poker night, right? And then Friday, Saturdays, poker game breakout or whatever. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I have been told, this is a life lesson. Do not play cards with anybody who played hockey at any professional level whatsoever, because that's all they do.
Yeah, true.
That's all they do. They used to have stories in the old days. There was a table built onto the back of the bus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my buddy Legsy, who played for 20 years in minor league hockey, one of the best card players I've ever played with. And he'll walk in a room and go, "You got any cash? Let's go, deal them up, Legs."
Yeah. Cards and golf.
Yeah,
Most every hockey player is good at golf.
Yeah.
So it's
Golf
we got
shirts available.
golf shirts. Yeah, those are a special item coming soon. Maybe when it gets more golf season, we'll have those. First off, I want to get into what your thoughts are about referees. Like, what's your when you hear the term referee, no matter what sport, hockey, football. I know you're a huge football guy. What's your first initial visceral thought?
Come on, ref, keep it honest. That's
keep it fair.
That's it. Yeah, like Dangerfield. Yeah, keep it honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stay out of the way. I get it. I'm very close to hockey. I got a hockey family. I understand how important keeping the game together, how important to set a tone for a game. I think I understand refs a little bit better than the average fan, just because I've watched so much hockey. But it's like anything else, man. It's a thankless gig. They're always going to blame the ref.
Oh yeah.
They're always going to blame the ref, right? What was the thing? I don't know if you even want to say this, but the person the guy that blows himself up and then comes out off the rink.
Death Wish Dan Elders.
Death Wish Dan.
At Birmingham. It's in the movie script.
Oh, yes.
I read the script. I didn't know if it was public knowledge, but
forgot.
the guy, and I've seen these before. I got a picture with the Dynamite lady. She did the same gag. She'd be up at the Portland Pirates games, and she'd go out in a big box and put dynamite in there and blow herself up.
Yeah.
And then she'd come out and go, ta-da! Right? And
Death Wish Dan Elders. I was in Birmingham and doing the Birmingham down in the East Coast League.
Yeah.
And I come off, the first period was like chaos, right? It was always chaos in Birmingham. People were hating me. Chanting, Riley, you suck. Terrible. So I come off, and all of a sudden they start wheeling these pallets of boxes, empty boxes on the ice. And I'm standing there at the ref, the Zamboni door, and I'm watching this. And a guy walked up next to me, but I didn't really look at him. And I go, "What the hell is going on here?" And the guy goes, "Oh, I do a little thing. I climb up on the catwalk, I light myself on fire, and I jump off into the boxes." And I turn and look. Here's this guy, full-on Evel Knievel outfit, right? Death Wish Dan Elders. I look at him, and he goes, "Man, I wouldn't want your job." And he walked walks out.
He's lighting himself on fire.
I swear to God, this guy walked up to the catwalk in flames, and he almost missed the boxes. He landed like right on the edge of the boxes. No lie. I was like,
That is
Jesus.
awesome.
And he doesn't want your gig.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Nobody
want
wants
our
to ref.
gig. That's how bad ref
That's
it is.
all you need to know about refereeing right there, man. It's a thankless
Absolutely.
gig.
Now, you said you're a hockey family.
Yes.
Tell me, because I know I've heard of your dad. And
Well, we're sitting here in Beverly, which is where I grew up in this town. My dad was a tremendous hockey player. My uncles, they say, were phenomenal. My uncles won state championships for Beverly back in the day. I've seen those clips. But I still have people come up to me in comedy clubs and go, Dunn, huh? From Beverly? Any relation to Bomber Dunn? Yeah, that's my old man. Best hockey player I ever saw.
Okay.
Really?
For real.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
And to have somebody say that on the North Shore. My dad was a phenomenal athlete. He was a really good baseball player, too. He got out of combat in Vietnam because he made a baseball team. The generals all had baseball teams.
Okay.
And they would travel around and play games. And so this general saw my dad pitch a no-hitter and made him his driver. And that's how he got out of serious combat in Vietnam. But
That's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah. But so that
Being athlete kids.
exactly. But so they were all phenomenal hockey players. And then my dad got divorced when I was in 4th grade, and that was pretty much the end of my skating lessons. And I still can't skate backwards. I mean, it ended there. But my brother played hockey. My brother ended up coaching hockey, and I actually met my wife in a hockey rink.
that's a great story.
That's the most Boston sentence you're going to hear today, right?
That's great. You got to tell that story.
Yeah.
you got to tell that
so
story.
my brother was coaching little kids.
Yeah.
I think they were 7 or 8 years old. And I was just going over there to hang out with him, skate around a little bit, lose some weight, have some laughs with my brother. And I saw this beautiful blonde, and I went, whose mom is that?
Said a lot on a hockey rink.
Yeah. And so Trevor said, that's my mom. And I go, I'm going to go talk to her about your progress. And no kidding, within a year, we were all living together. So,
No kidding.
and yeah, he's my son now, and she's my wife. And,
That's a great story.
Yeah, and he became
moms.
the starting goalie. I saw a lot of promise in the young fella.
So my daughter plays goalie.
That's
My
awesome.
daughter's a goalie, yeah.
All right.
We were talking about the pads earlier.
Yeah, that's
And
Trevor. That was his thing.
So I'm going to take that in
Go ahead.
consideration. So when I'm not going to buy them off of Vaughn,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't want to get ripped it off, right?
Well, look, here's what happened. So it's a really cool story. I was sitting in my office at home, and my son comes in. Now, he was at Pingree at the time.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, and he was a goalie at Pingree.
I have to laugh because
Yeah.
that story you tell about Pingree is hilarious in your act.
That didn't happen. You're going to have to see that
Yeah,
one.
yeah, you have to
You're
go
gonna
see
come to a
Jimmy
nightclub
live.
to see that one.
Yeah.
He comes in one day, and he goes, hey, I got a question. And I go, go ahead. And he goes, guy's coming down. He's got a shot on me, one-on-one. What's he looking for? And I said, back of the net. And he goes, yeah. He goes, so why am I helping him out wearing big blue pads? And I go, what are you saying? He goes, I'm just like, why am I giving him that clean line?
Right.
And I go, so you want to look a little bit more neutral? And he goes, no, I want to look just like the net. And I go, that's a great idea, buddy. And he pulls out this sketch that he drew up in class that day
No kidding.
with the net on the pads.
Brilliant.
And this is exactly what I said. I said, buddy, this is brilliant. So I called my brother, who's in hockey. I called some other people that are in hockey. And I said, has anybody ever... And the only history we could find was Patrick Waugh at one point had a fake 5-hole.
Oh, right.
He had a little triangle of white that would induce shots into his pads. But that was the only thing that we really... So I started asking around, who could make these for him. And everybody started talking about this guy up in Canada. This guy whose family started hockey, I forget the name of the brand, but then he started his own thing. He's the guy. He makes all the one-offs. He makes stuff for the NHL. Okay. So saddle up. So my son and I, we went up to meet this guy. I called him. I said, hey, my kid wants to do this thing. And he goes, yeah. I toyed with something like this many, many years ago, but I'd absolutely like to talk to him. And I go, well, if I brought him up there, could you make a set of pads for him? He goes, yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
So I said to my son, I go, I want you to start writing, put this in a journal, and I want this to be your school paper when you go to apply for colleges. How you have this idea, we're going to go on a journey, and we're going to try and make it into a real thing. And I want you to just start writing everything down and tell this story. He's like, let's go. So we go up to Canada. We meet this guy. He's like literally making them in a garage. And
I can picture it.
he was the coolest. And so I just stepped away, and I go, I'm going to go in town, get a sandwich. I'll see you guys. And I come back a couple hours later, and they got it all in the computer. It was amazing. And I was like, this is great. And he goes, I give him a chunk of money. I go, here you go. And he goes, all right, I'll send them to you guys, and we'll go from there, right? So we go home. About a month later, they show up, and they're better than we even thought. They're incredible, right? Awesome. Like, just amazing. And he's a goalie. He's superstitious. You know the deal there.
Yeah.
So he's got to break him in at practice first. He's playing with him at practice because I'm going to use him in the tournament. So he uses him in the Christmas tournament. Pingree had never won the Christmas tournament. They win the thing. Nobody scored on him in the entire tournament. So now these pads are magic, right?
Yeah,
You know how it goes with goalies, right?
Yeah.
Definitely the pads, yeah.
It's 100%, and he's a great little goalie.
Yep.
I mean, he was a really good goalie at the time, and so now pads are magic, right? So I tell a buddy of mine that we know this story up to this point, and he says, "That's really cool. I'd like to write a story about it for the newspaper." Okay, and he wrote for the Boston Globe.
Okay.
So he comes down the rink and he writes a story about it, and he used to be a goalie too, so he's got a little goalie angle on it. They put the story in the Boston Globe. The next day, a guy from Toronto calls the Boston Globe and says, hey, we want to run that story all across Canada. Overnight, this thing blows up.
That's insane.
And it goes all over the internet, sports. So now he shows up at Pingree, right? And he goes into the coach's office. Coach goes, hey, I got 4 media requests for you. And Trevor goes, what's a media request? So he calls me, goes, what's a media request? I go, hang tight, buddy. This is what I do. So the next thing you know, he's doing these interviews. He's in Sports Illustrated for kids, and like the New York Times runs it.
No kidding.
And it sparks this debate. Do they work all over the internet? And people, is it cheating? Is it not? There's no rules against it.
Everybody has a say, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But then I saw this magical thing. Like when this story started blowing up, he would walk into the rink. He'd lead the team out. And there were young kids younger than him would run over and go, Dad, the pads. Come over and touch him.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. So I was like, oh, this is incredible.
That's
So I call a friend who's a lawyer and also a goalie. I said, hey, can we protect this? And they basically said, it doesn't matter. They're going to rip it off because it's a design. All they got to do is tweak it a little bit.
Right.
And that's what the hockey industry does. Mm-hmm. So he goes, I wouldn't bother on that. You know, if you can. And Trevor had a really cool name. He came up with his name, Goalie Flash. Like
Love it. Yep.
Yeah.
That's an awesome
That's a
name,
cool name.
Goalie Flash.
Yeah, and so we went back to the guy and said, hey, we're going to send you a lot of work. You send the kid a check for every set of pads. And the guy goes, absolutely. You know, he's up there, like I said, he's up there eating Timbits in a garage.
Timmy Hortons, I love it. Timmy Hortons.
Yeah, and so
I just picture this guy eating out of a can of like Dinty Moore stew or whatever it is.
Yeah,
You
right.
know?
No, the guy legit used to run one of the, I forget the name of it, but it was one of the top things. And then there was a family fight. And so he just went off and said, I'll make my own one-off pads. But he had made pads for a whole bunch of NHL goalies.
No kidding.
And so this thing blew up to the point where there were a couple of NHL goalies that wanted to use it, that reached out to him. And then we got it all the way to that point, but there was a $250,000 licensing fee to the NHL for any set of pads that you use.
Wow, that's wild.
$250,000?
That's when we punted. But
Take a loan out.
But kids all over the country were getting the pads, and then some of the other companies started ripping it off. But it was really an amazing ride, and he was up at UNH for a while and running this company out of his college dorm.
Wow,
pretty cool.
Yeah, and the paper that he wrote got him into UNH and a bunch of other schools. He ended up going to UNH because his brother was up there.
All right.
And he played club hockey up there for 4 years.
Nice.
And yeah, and that's the story of Goalie Flash. And that, since then, everybody's ripped it off. But I can say this with 100% confidence. His idea blew up on the internet and sparked a debate as to whether or not colored pads are an advantage or a disadvantage. If you look at the history in the NHL, I'm pretty sure it's still this way. Nobody had a higher one-year save percentage than Tim Thomas the year he used those grayscale white and black.
I remember
which
those.
Looked very similar. His save percentage that year, I believe, is still one of the highest ever. And everybody, and there were a couple people, there was an optometrist that wrote a thing about Fleury and like wrote to Fleury and said, get rid of the yellow pads. And so what happened was everybody in the NHL went to a white pad, a neutral pad with some coloring, to the point where the NHL actually was having a debate. There was a debate in the equipment committee or whatever about mandating color. Mandating color on their pads. So his idea sparked all of that.
That's wild.
And it had been dabbled with before, but
execution, like you guys went and did it and got patterned.
And then the internet blew it up.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then, I mean, there were thousands of comments. You're a cheater. You're a genius. You're a cheater. You're a genius. And I'm like, he's both.
What's wrong with that?
That's the best thing to be.
Yeah.
I remember walking in your house years ago.
Yeah.
And you had a big picture of him with the pads on. And I hadn't at that point known anything about it. And I go, the hell is that?
Yeah.
What kind of pads? And you told me the whole story, and I was like, I was blown away.
Yeah, I
Blown
think we
away.
had 5 or 6 sets in the down the basement
Yeah.
at that time. Yeah,
Yeah, with all the pinball machines.
Yeah,
right?
that thing really blew up though. That was, that was a pretty wild ride.
Any 26 inches lying around?
I'm gonna have a yard sale soon. I'll see. I have.
It's expensive.
I got 2 grown-up boys, and I got a lot of leftover gear. I think there is. I think my nieces were using them at their high school, and
nice.
Yeah, it went all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. Now, your dad, huge hockey player.
Yes.
And there's a funny story you told me one time about a show you did
specifically
for one reason.
Yeah.
For no other reason.
Yeah. Then to get my
But
dad
this.
to meet Bobby Orr.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my dad had met Bobby Orr. My dad knew Bobby Orr. He had seen him in the rinks and stuff. My dad used to help some of his friends who were college coaches. He would go coach. Sorry, not coach. He would go scout.
Yeah.
Yep.
My dad would go scout other teams sometimes. And when I was a kid, he would drag me to the rinks, and I loved it. That's how I got into hockey. I had met Bobby Orr with my dad in the rink before. Hey, Bomber. Hey, Bobby. Yeah. But my dad, like everybody else of that era, just completely idolized Bobby Orr. And they say, that saying, don't meet your idols. Well, he's the exception, man. This guy, you've met him. There's nobody greater than Bobby. He's just the best, right? So I get a call to do a show, and it's a fundraiser for one of these charity events for WEEI, the sports radio.
Yeah.
And they say, look, there's no money. And yeah, okay. And they go, but we can, if there's anything else you want. And I go, can you get my dad to sit at the table with Bobby Orr?
That's cool.
And they go, well, we'll see. That table is pretty highly requested. And they go, but we'll get your dad in there for sure, and we'll do the meet and greet thing. You can hang out with Orr and get a picture and talk to him. And I go, that's all I care about.
That's pretty cool.
So the night of the event, I get there and they go, look, there's some people that paid top dollar to sit with Orr, but we're gonna put him at the other table. He'll be right next to him, and you guys can introduce. And I go, that's fine, that's perfect, thank you.
Now, does your dad know he's there? And this
Oh
is
yeah.
happening? Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My dad had one sports coat. It had the patches on it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And so, he was dressed up. I still got the picture of the office of me and my old man and Orr. But we get to the thing, and it's a big dinner and all this, and my dad gets to talk to Bobby Orr, and you could see him. He's
Glowing, yeah.
So then at one point I get up on stage and I start doing my thing, and I'm getting laughs. And I look down, and there's Bobby Orr, and there's my dad, and the both of them are just looking up at me, laughing, going, "Who's a better son than me?" Right? I did it. Right? This is fantastic. So it turns out Linda Byers was the anchor of the other table, right? Yeah, you know where this story's going, right? And my dad was a heavy drinker too. So, and I'm driving, and that's it. So they get lit up. The two of them get lit up. And my dad has the best night.
That's awesome.
We're driving home, and he's like, I go, how about that, Dad? Huh, Bob? You always like, he was the best. And I say, you made friends? Oh, yeah, your buddy LB, he's a good dude. And drive him home. So the next day I call, check in on him, Hey, Dad, how you doing? He goes, hey, kid, hey, that was a great night last night. And I go, yeah, did you have a good time? He goes, yeah, your buddy LB. And I'm like, LB? What about all? I'm telling you, for the next 6 months, anytime I went into Boston, he goes, you see your buddy LB? Tell him I said hello.
That's awesome.
But that was my dad. He'd find a guy like LB and have a good time with him, and that's what my dad did.
Oh, that's absolutely awesome.
That reminds me, like, I did the All-Star game in the East Coast League. Brandon Holtby, goalie for the Capitals, right?
Yeah.
So he was one of the goalies for the All-Star thing. So, like, you go to the it was a Hall of Fame dinner or luncheon, whatever, and Holtby's at our table. And my mother's sitting next to him, and she just chewed his ear off the whole time. He didn't say a word. He just sat there. He was really nice, but my mother was like,
yeah, so you know, we get invited to perform at these things all the time, and they go, "Hey, you want to come to this thing? And there's no money, and you work for free, and we'll give you chicken. Yeah, I got chicken at home. And they go, oh, you get to meet. Yeah, I met them all.
Yeah, well, it's like the golf tournament.
Like literally, they go, "Hey, you can meet this guy and this guy. And this guy used to play for the Bruins." I go, those guys they're my neighbors.
Right?
I see them on a beach every day. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah, the golf
autograph. Yeah.
The golf tournaments. You always, well,
done.
we're going to let you play golf. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Then what? Well, then you're going to hang around. Then you're going to do comedy in a room that does not want comedy.
Yeah.
Right.
A bunch of people that are sunburned and half drunk.
Oh, yeah. Although it was cool. I did Jamie Parker's Jimmy Fun tournament. Yeah. Oh, and the first year I did it, I did the auction thing. Well, I did comedy first, and Ray Bork was there.
Yeah.
And I had a story about Ray Bork when I refereed a preseason game his last year with the Bruins when he went to Colorado. Yeah. And I told the story, and he laughed because I'm bombing up the ice, and he jumps the bench and almost destroys me, right? And normally I would snap.
Right.
So
but that's Ray Bork.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we go to the play goes in the net. I blow the whistle, right, and stop play. And he comes over and he goes, "Hey, Stripes, sorry about almost running you over." I go, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "What?" I go, "You're Ray fucking Bork."
Yeah, right.
He goes,
would have been an honor.
He goes, "What?" I go, "You can run me over whenever you want." Yeah. And we had a good laugh. And then he actually came up and did the auction for his jersey and tickets and stuff with me.
No kidding.
And it was pretty cool because it was like one of those, times where it's like, here's this guy that I idolized growing up. And,
there are those moments where you see him on a golf course and you meet him. And at one point when I was working for Nesson and doing Fanatic, they would send us all the time to cover these golf tournaments because that's where you could get to talk to all the hockey players. They were always there, and so we're waiting for, we're sitting there and we're set up and we're getting interviews with them. And I know Orr's coming. And so I say to my co-host, Jonathan, I go, "Hey, I got Orr. It means nothing to you. It means the world to me.
Right.
I'm talking to Orr." He goes, "Okay, yeah. So Orr comes around the corner and he's like, "Hey, fellas, hey." I mean, he's just the nicest. And I go, "Hey, Bobby, can you do it quick?" He goes, "Absolutely." And so I asked him a couple of Nesson questions, whatever. And then I go, "One more question. Hey, can I caddy for you?"
No way.
And he looks at me and he goes, "Jimmy, we got carts." I go, I know, but I always want to tell people that I caddied for Bobby Orr. How cool would that be, right?" And he goes, "All right, it's the blue bag over there." And so I went over there, I unstrapped his bag, and I put it on my shoulder, and I walked down the fairway with Bobby Orr, and I caddied a
18
hole.
18 holes.
No,
one hole.
I caddied that hole.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then he goes, "Jimmy, you should probably go back before you get fired." And I go, I appreciate you even letting me do this, Bobby. I put it back on his bag and shake his hand, right? So then I go back and we finish up our day. And then at the end of the thing, you're always sitting around a tent eating steak tips or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there eating, and Bobby Orr comes over and goes, "Can I sit with you, Jimmy?" And I go, "No." Come on. Can't take tips with Bobby Orr.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we talked with Doug about the alumni events.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And doing the alumni events, the one one of my refereed, you sit in the locker room with them.
Yeah.
And Bork played, Chara played, Tuca played, and it's just you're sitting in the locker room, and it's like being back with any other team. Just they're shitting on each other.
Yeah.
Where
They're buddies.
Bob Sweeney's walking through, ripping on everyone. And it was just kind of like surreal.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting there going, these are the guys I watched growing up. These are the guys my dad and I sat and watched, and my dad worshipped the Bruins.
Sure.
And it's just like, you're just sitting there going, I'm tying my skates, and, there's Ray Bork sitting over there tying his.
Right.
It's just crazy. You know?
It's the comedy world opens the door to all those athletes. And
Right, that's true.
At one point, when the Comedy Connection was just the #1 club in the world, and I got to MC a lot of those shows, Drew Bledsoe would come in every night, and Vinatieri be there all the time. Those Patriots guys that run, they were always there.
No shit.
And it was, they were into comedy, and whoever the big headliner was that was coming through town, they want to go see, and then, hey, Jimmy.
Oh, that's
so,
awesome.
I'll tell you, you'll love this one. I don't know if you know this story. So I got a call to, they were going to do the Boston Sports Awards. I don't know what it ended up becoming, but that was the idea, like an ESPYs, but for Boston.
Right.
So they called me in and they said, we want you to make some jokes, put a couple sketches together. Okay. So I come up with some ideas, who's going to be there, whatever. At the time, it was the time when Mark McGwire went on that run and broke the home run record.
Yep.
And I said, well, wouldn't it be funny if we pretended that he was coming out? And people are going to lose it. So we'll set everybody up thinking McGuire's coming out. But instead, and what was McGuire's number? Was it 60, 68 or 69 or whatever it was?
I want to say 68.
Whatever the number was.
Yeah.
We'll build it up by just saying the record and the number, and then we'll bring a guy out who ate 68 hot dogs this season. Right? And they're like, that's a great idea, right?
Yeah.
And I go, I got the guy, my buddy Chuck Roy, this comedian that was big, real big at the time. I go, we'll put him in a Hawaiian shirt, we'll have him come out, and they'll be like, thinking McGuire's coming. So as I'm pitching it, I go, and just to throw the thing over the top, and this is very David Letterman-like, and I'm a huge Letterman guy, so I go, we'll have a guy in a hot dog costume come out and hand him a giant trophy, And they're like, all right.
Like that.
So they buy the whole idea. They're like, that's great, we'll do that. And then they go, where are we going to get the guy in a hot dog suit? And I go, I'll do it. I don't know why. But I just knew I was going to be there anyway.
Right.
I want something
Why,
to do.
why wouldn't you be the hot dog guy?
I'll do it. Cut to that night. I'm in a dressing room with all kinds of athletes and everybody that's on the show and all their handlers, and I am putting on a hot dog costume. Right? And Drew Bledsoe comes walking in, looks over at me and goes, hey, Jimmy. And I go, hey, how's it going, Drew? And he goes, going better than you. And he walks away. And I swear, like there were kids that were working there, and they're like,
You just got
Bledsoe knows the hot dog guy?
I'm doing better than you.
I got a picture somewhere of me standing there on the stage with
dog
Chuck
outfit.
Roy in a hot dog costume.
Did the skit?
Oh yeah,
well
it killed.
received? Oh,
They killed.
good.
They were a little angry that McGuire wasn't there. They were more than a little angry. Yeah. We got a special guest all night. We got a special guest. You're gonna love it. Big guy in a hot dog, in a Hawaiian shirt, eating hot dog.
Oh my
Comedy
God!
event. Like, what do you expect?
No, that's the thing. It wasn't comedy.
Oh, was it?
It was a sports event.
Oh,
It was
the
like
sports event. Oh,
Yeah.
It was the New England Sports Awards.
Oh, that's okay.
And we
We gotta
That's
get.
even funny.
Too bad we didn't do something like that at the USA Hockey Hall of Fame dinner
Yeah, right,
that we
yeah.
went to.
yeah. That's
Steve
the thing,
Levy
man.
would have loved it.
The dinners were. Yeah.
Now you brought up Fan Addict.
Yes.
Now that was a show on Nesson back in the day, and I remember watching it. It was hilarious.
Parts of it were. Yeah.
I might have been one of 10 people that watched it, but that's all right.
Well, it was. So the idea was Nesson has all these great games on tape, and their idea was to show those games, but have a reason and kind of wrap it around and do like a sort of a mystery science theater kind of thing to it. So they called me in. They're like, "You want to be the host?" And I was like, "Yeah." All right. Here's the deal. I play a guy who lives up in the attic of Nesson, and every day I dig out a tape and go, "Oh my God, this was Clemens' 20 strikeout game. We got to watch this," and we'll watch the game, and then maybe I'll go track down Clemens or some of these other athletes and get a quick little interview with them, and we'll cut that in and we'll make it a show. And they were like, "Can you do it real cheap?" And I said, "Yep." And they went, "All right, let's do it." And it was on at like 2 in the morning. And
that's great.
But it was fun. And the highlight of that one was I did a recreation of Bobby Orr's flying goal using a shopping cart in a Stop and Shop parking lot down in Boston somewhere. And I was like,
I remember that commercial.
Yeah.
Oh, that is outstanding.
Yeah. So that was, I don't know, we did, I think, 3 years of that.
Wow.
But they're out there. And then every 10 years or so, something goes wrong at Nesson. They don't have anything to play. They'll press the Fanatic button.
That's great.
Someone will call me, "You're on Nesson at 3 in the morning." Yeah, that checks out.
Now, in our research, our producer, Josh Dolan,
Yeah.
found a Q&A that you did back in the day when you were on Fanatic.
Oh, I was a big star then.
Oh, yeah, you were huge. And so Josh is going to read the questions. We're going to see, A, how well you know yourself back then,
Okay.
and B, how much you've changed now, because I know what the answers to these questions would be now.
You do. Yeah, we're
right?
my best friends. Of course you're going
But
to know
let's
the answer.
see.
All right.
Let's see how we do. So, Josh,
Go ahead, Josh.
let's fire it off.
All right. So these are kind of like the questions they would have in the like the game programs back in the day.
Sure.
When
I was doing big time press for Fanatic.
yeah, when they still had game programs.
Yes.
All right. So the first question is, what's your nickname?
Sausage.
Got that correct.
Conti Colantino of Beverly, Massachusetts gave me that one when I was playing church league basketball for the St. Margaret's Green Machine. I was the big man in the middle, and it was Jimmy Dunn went to Jimmy Dean, went to Sausage.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Fun fact, as Sausage, I was once walking across the gymnasium here in Beverly. Patrick Ewing was here to play a pickup game with a guy from Beverly. I can't remember his name. That was this phenom in Beverly. And Patrick Ewing came down. Somebody got hurt. And I was just happened to be walking through the gym. And Conti Colantino went, "Hey, Sausage, check in." And I checked in.
You went in?
I went in. And I'm not exaggerating. Patrick Ewing somehow gets the ball. I'm the only one back. And I went like this, and he went up and over me, and I saw stars like cartoons. Bang, 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 bang. True story.
I can't wait to
One of us is in the Hall of Fame.
I can't wait to bring you up at the next show we do together. I know what I'm going to say.
That's great. Sausage. So the hot dog suit makes sense.
Yes.
Members of your family.
Members of my family?
Yes.
How would I have answered that? Members of my family.
Like who is in his family?
Yeah. Think about
My brother and my sister and my dad.
You wrote just me and the dog.
Yeah. That's when I was living good, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Hobbies.
Yes. Hobbies.
Looks like you put 4 down here.
4 hobbies. Ooh. Surfing.
Nope.
Really?
Really?
Pinball.
No.
I
were
would have
doing
picked
well.
those two.
I watched, yeah.
Eating.
Nope. No.
I wonder if I was being a wise ass when I answered this.
You
I'm
must
trying to
have been.
think, like, yeah.
You must have been.
I'm wondering if I was like, if I was living with just a dog, I'm wondering if I'm giving like single guy answers like hobbies,
yeah, you are.
puppies, and walking in the woods, and
Yeah.
counting my money. I don't know.
You wrote bodybuilding,
Exactly. I knew it.
There it
day
is.
trading,
Day trading.
and restoring antique Porsches.
I was going to say restoring cars. I was going to say that.
Yeah, that was obviously to try to press somebody.
All right, pets.
Pets, just my dog Buck.
Just you
Buckner.
and the dog.
His name was Buckner because when he was a puppy, I rolled a ball at him and went through his legs, and I went, oh. We're a roller up the first base side.
Perfect name.
That poor dog didn't know.
I love
He had no idea.
Buck was the best.
Favorite sport to watch.
Favorite sport to watch is football. That's easy.
You got that
Love
correct.
watching
Now it's girls soccer.
Yeah. Ladies
Careful.
soccer.
The woke.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So woke. Favorite sport to play.
Favorite sport to play, pond hockey.
Yes.
Yep.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Beer league hockey. Any kind of hockey where it's not important.
Favorite food. Now this is probably going to be a plug, but
Favorite food. Well, we're in Beverly. I'm sure it's roast beef, but I'm wondering if I said Nick's or Kelly's. Probably Kelly's.
You said Kelly's.
Yeah, that's because it was a Boston show.
All right, we went to Kelly's one night.
Yeah.
After a show, we did, and we go in, and you go, all right, whatever you want, it's on me. So I order a turkey club wrap. And
Kelly's.
And Jimmy
Kelly's.
goes, I don't eat roast beef. He got so pissed at me. He's like,
I probably
he
would
goes,
have pay for it.
he goes, I'm not paying for that.
No
He
way.
walked away.
That's a sweetie move, yeah.
I thought he
That's a
was
sweetie
kidding.
move.
And the girl goes, $12.95, whatever it was. He wouldn't pay for my turkey
I don't
sandwich.
blame you.
buying
You don't go there for turkey.
I did,
Might
but
as well
I,
get a
Onion
salad.
ring or something,
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah, that's me. That's me. I'm
We've
not
been up
paying
there, what,
for
9
it.
or 10 times now?
Yeah.
And I've only stopped there once.
That's
Yeah.
not bad.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not
because you
bad.
drive right by
I
there
go right
going
by
home.
it. And every
Well, that's
time I
'cause you-
debate it.
Well, you have such road rage by the time you hit there.
Oh, I can't. I have the worst road rage. I
Yeah.
can't,
Yeah, that's
Only
a good place
coming
to
up
get
here.
it, too.
yeah.
Only coming
My
up
wife's
here.
like, no, they can't hear you. They're in the car. They can't hear you. I don't know why you're yelling. It's just me and the kids are in the car and you're yelling. And I'm like, well,
Every trip up here, a trip home, I get a call from him. I can't stand these freaking people, and he goes nuts.
Yeah.
And he goes, I
How
don't
far
know,
is the
maybe.
drive?
like 45 minutes. I don't know.
All right,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's
But-
through Boston,
but it's
through
through-
traffic.
yeah.
Yeah, it's that height.
It's
Yeah.
a disaster.
Miserable. Everybody's.
I think it's a
driving.
Gino thing.
It might be a ref thing because if you're reffing on the road too, I mean,
That's a good point. That's a good point. I tend to become a bit of a ref. Like when people are doing that Weasley move where they pretend they didn't see, 3 miles back, the giant arrow going like this.
Yeah, right.
Oh, will you let me in? Oh, yeah, you didn't know.
Right.
You got a Southie bumper sticker, but you didn't know that there's a merge here by the guy that's
Right,
been
by
here
the guy
since
behind-
78.
20 years, yeah.
Or the guy behind you knows you want to get over too, but he gets over first and gets in front of you.
Yeah.
It's like,
I hate that
no,
move.
You're not getting
I hate that move. Maybe we have ice rage. Sometimes we get ice rage.
I
on the
watch a
ice.
lot of IndyCar driving.
Oh, yeah.
And then my wife will go, "Why are you so far to the left or so far to the right?" And I'm like, "I'm hitting the apex."
Apex, yeah, the good
Apex.
Apex.
Otherwise, I'm scrubbing speed.
That
Yeah.
Netflix series when that's pretty good too.
it's
on
good.
the- that's really-
I believe they referenced that in Starsky and Hutch back in the day.
Apex.
Apex of the turn.
Yeah, I know
Yes.
how to apex a turn.
Oh
man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I grew up with the Salisbury Beach go-karts.
Yeah,
I know how to apex a turn.
all right, favorite TV show.
Favorite TV show? Hogan's Heroes.
Wow.
No, that's an
That's-
easy
that's
one.
an easy
Easy
I
one
pegged
for
you
you.
for more of an F Troop kind of guy.
I loved F Troop too.
Yep.
Yeah. See any Indian, Sarge? No thanks. Just had a cup.
The heck
Favorite
Howie.
singer or musical group? Think about the time period.
Think about the time. Favorite singer or music group? Would it be the Mighty Mighty Bosstones at the time? I mean,
U2.
favorite of all time would be Ramones.
Not even close.
Or Van Halen.
This had to be a wise ass
This has got to
answer.
be a joke, but it's got to be like Britney Spears. or
It's
something.
Britney Spears.
Britney Spears. That's awesome.
I don't think I've ever listened to
Britney
3
Spears.
seconds of Britney Spears.
You even know your fake answer.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's good, right?
That's pretty good.
Nothing if not consistent.
You're off the hook on the one you didn't know. The hobbies.
Redeemed. Favorite movie?
It's probably Slapshot.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's not. Caddyshack.
Nope.
Those
Close.
are my top.
Close. Animal House?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow,
Animal
those are
House.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Those
mean,
always
those
in my
are all.
top
They're all
five,
so.
They're right there.
They're all so close.
Slapshot's definitely mine though.
Oh,
Yeah.
the next
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Favorite sports movie?
Oh, favorite sports movie, Slapshot.
And Rudy.
And Rudy. Oh yeah. Well, that's. I mean, if it's a serious thing, yeah.
Favorite piece of clothing?
Favorite piece of clothing.
I'm surprised you even answered this.
Yeah.
Favorite piece of clothing.
I know.
Oh, I had a
I
Larry
gotta
Bird
guess.
shirt back then. I was pretty fond of.
Wetsuit.
No.
Ah,
Oh, yeah,
surfing.
surfer,
The surfing
right?
thing. Yeah.
My favorite piece of clothing. I don't know. Gronk shirt? No, that's pre-Gronk.
Yeah, I don't think he was born yet. Ginger Spice's latex Supergirl outfit.
I misunderstood the question. I thought you meant my favorite, just in general.
In
Yes,
general.
absolutely. I was a big fan of Ginger Spice.
You clearly took this very seriously.
I can't believe they printed this on Nesson.com or wherever it is. I'm sure it was on Nesson.com.
And it's still out there on the interwebs.
I know, you just found it.
Yeah.
Were you answering these on North Beach?
Yeah, that's where I was. Yeah, it's home.
What was your most embarrassing moment on television?
Probably Fanatic. Honestly, it's been since that interview. There's been a more embarrassing one, and that was the voice of Sox Appeal. I was the wise guy voice of the show Sox Appeal, where people went on dates at Fenway Park, and that show won a New England Emmy, and I was the narrator, and I never got an Emmy because a couple of days before the Emmy Awards, they heard me say that if I got one, I was going to make it the shifter knob on my Bronco. So they made sure I didn't get one.
Seriously?
True.
All right.
And you would have. That's the funny thing.
Should have.
Absolutely.
I made this show for
No,
you.
I meant you would have made
Oh,
it the
yeah,
shifter
no.
all day.
No question about that.
The answer you gave
Yeah.
was the Super Sugar Crisp bit.
Super Sugar Crisp bit. That was a Fanatic bit that we did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jonathan and I did. Jonathan and I would write these bits literally on the fly. Some of them weren't so good. I vaguely remember that.
What was your favorite professional sports team growing up?
Favorite professional sports team growing up was Bruins.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got that right?
Yeah, definitely.
And
Already laughing at
Tell
the
by the way you
question.
laughed, I got you.
I'll explain after. Professional player growing up.
Favorite professional player growing up? I either said or Cam Neely. It was probably Cam Neely.
I don't even know who this guy is.
Who? Nevin Marquardt?
Nevin, number 17.
Yeah.
Craig Nienhuis?
Craig Nienhuis.
Nienhuis.
Yeah. Craig Nienhuis.
I don't know. who
Yeah.
that is.
That was probably a wise ass answer.
Oh, yeah, it was. He played for the Canadians, didn't he?
I think he played for the Bees.
Yeah, for like 14
Oh, yeah,
games,
yeah.
so.
But I think I'm thinking of someone else maybe then. I thought he played for the Canadians at some point.
Probably.
Well, he played in 13 different leagues.
At least I knew how to pronounce. At least I knew how to pronounce it. So
Nienhuis.
that's all I got.
When Jimmy is not on stage, so when you're not on stage,
Yeah.
where can you find him and what is he doing?
In New Hampshire surfing.
He's with his friends in the bleachers at Fenway.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably
too.
on a
Bleacher
date,
creature.
right?
Yeah, what's that?
Narrating people's dates at Fenway.
You were trying to keep your job with that answer.
What was it?
I was fired 3 times from Nesson. I was fired 3 different times for 3, just stupid things, or not necessarily fired, but we're gonna go a different direction, by email.
Well, you get fired one more time, you get a free coffee.
They
When we get that
gotta
2 a.m.
hire me
slot-
again.
When we get
though.
that 2 a.m. slot open
2
up
a.m.
again, we'll let you know.
Can't afford a minute.
I got a great idea.
It's a fan basement.
And where is your favorite place to get fried dough?
Oh, Blake's, Hampton Beach.
Blink's at Hampton Beach. Yep, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew. I knew
Jackie
that one.
Flynn will feel that it's not Anna's.
Yeah, Jackie won't be happy with that answer, but Jackie's not a mile and a half from my house. I literally rode my bike by Blink's today. Yeah.
Well, that was all of it.
That
You-
was
you
it?
passed it.
I did pretty well on that.
You actually did
For
real well.
That being a long time ago.
And Blinks is the place we go after the
After
Hampton
the
Beach
Hampton
Comedy
Beach.
Festival, which I've done every year.
Yep.
Every year but one. That was.
I have a list. I am meeting with someone later tonight.
Oh, really?
And I have the list of the
Of who might be on it?
of the Hampton Beach Comedy Festival list.
Really? Am I on there?
me give you a
I better be on there.
Maybe a quick.
Oh, look at that! I'm number 4. I'm number 4 on
Well,
the
you're
list.
you're
That's
number
not bad.
That's not
You're
bad.
number
That's
4.
ore.
Yeah, you're number 4 only because those 4 are the first 4 that I write every year. So
Oh, okay.
You know who
See,
they are.
look at
Very
that. Oh, I do.
I saw
Done.
Bill Burr up there.
in
Hampton, yeah. At the casino, yeah, that
Casino
was
Ballroom,
awesome.
yeah.
The first time I saw him, it was during hockey season. He was playing at what's the theater in town? The
Wilbur.
Wilbur, right?
Yeah.
So Monday night, I'm like, never hockey on Mondays. So I get the Monday night show. Sure as shit, playoffs come around. I got a game in Wilkes-Barre on Monday night. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. So my wife didn't tell me. Like, I gave my tickets to my cousin. I'm like, hey, you just go. I'm like, whatever. They're already paid for. I have fun. And so my wife didn't tell me. She got me front row tickets for Sunday night.
Up at the casino.
No, at the
yeah.
well, this is the first time we saw him.
Yeah.
Front row seats, Bill Burr. I was like, this is awesome.
Wow.
He was great.
Oh, he's great.
I know you saw him a couple summers ago
Yeah, I saw him a bunch. I saw him with you. Yeah.
in Fenway.
Yeah.
Yeah, when buddy Tony V opened for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know who got you those tickets, but
Yeah, some nice guy did. Yeah.
I think it was.
We were talking about doing a podcast.
I'm not.
we were
I don't
back
want to
then.
cause any trouble, but that might have been my ticket, and I couldn't make it.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And he might have said that. He goes, hey, I got some people that bailed. He goes, you want to go? And I go, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll tell you a ticket story. This will wrap into the hockey thing, but this is how hardcore we were as hockey fans back in those days. And this is pre-internet, before you could get tickets online. The playoff tickets would go on sale on Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
And so people would line up at the Garden, right?
Yeah.
But we figured out that any Ticketmaster, if you knew the event number, you could get them when they went on sale at that Ticketmaster. So if there's 1,000 people in line down here at the Garden, but if you were at a record store up in New Hampshire,
Right.
there's 6 people there, you're both going in the same queue at 9 o'clock in the morning, right?
Right.
So we figured this out. My brother, my buddy Bull, and I, we go up there, and we think we're going to camp out. We'll be the only ones in this parking lot at this mall up in Newington, New Hampshire. So we get there, and there's already like a couple of guys already there. Hey, all right, you camping out? Yeah, all right. So you guys are 1, 2, 3, 4. We're 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, cool. A couple guys come in over the course of the night, and by the end of the night, by the first thing in the morning, there's 30 or 40 people there.
Wow.
So 9 o'clock in the morning, they open the mall. And they open the mall gate. Now, we've all established the line, but you got to go from the mall gate down to the record store and queue up there, right? And it's still going to be another hour before the tickets go on sale there. So they open the gates, and a couple guys in the back start running ahead. Oh. No.
Big mistake.
No. So we get down to the record store, and we've been partying with these guys all night. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's those guys. We're 5, 6, 7, right? And these guys, all right, cue it up. And these other guys go, hey, no, we got here first. You guys got here an hour ago, right? You get in the back of the line. So they get in the back of the line and then get ready to start the thing. And they go, all right, we're open for business. They go to jump the line. And my brother grabs one of these guys and runs him through a rack of CDs. Right? Just right through, And a mall security they grab my brother. Now, there's mall security and these 2 other guys start punching my brother.
Oh,
right?
No, you got to jump in.
I got to jump in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my brother goes, stay in line, Jimmy. Stay in line, Jimmy. Stay in line. We're not camping out for nothing. And I'm like, but don't worry about it. They're dragging him out of the mall. Stay in line, Jimmy. Stay in line. I come out of the mall an hour later, and my brother's sitting there on the hood of his car, and I go, we got 3. That's how passionate we were about
Oh yeah.
getting,
that's
about
Boston, right there.
Bruins playoffs.
Yeah, that's Bruins fandom
I
right
always
there.
knew a scalper. I always went in. Somebody from Salty I knew.
Yeah,
always went right
we
up.
were so opposed to scalpers. I don't know. My cousin was just, scalpers are the worst, and we were just so opposed to doing that.
Yeah.
And we would sit in line and just do what we had to do to get.
They never got it. Well, my father grew up with him. He used to scalp over there when he was younger with those guys. So it's like I'd go over and be like, hey, I'd go over with my grandfather, like, hey, Mr. Bender, come on, what do you got? Bean pot every year at the Bean pot, we'd always scalp
Yep. My old man would get bean pot tickets for us all the time.
Yeah, it's the best.
We would hop the train in Beverly, go right into the Garden, and we were right there. So I used to go into the Garden and watch the Bruins with my dad all the time.
Yeah,
and it wasn't expensive back then. It was cheap, and he could afford it.
He split season. My old man split season tickets with a guy at the Globe. So like anytime I got my homework done, I was going in.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, we would go in no matter, and when there was, back then they wouldn't cancel a game because of snow.
Never.
I remember once we were sitting there, it was snowing so bad the train wouldn't come right? They canceled the train. So we get in the Volkswagen and we go, we're going. We'll come down Route 1. My brother spins the thing around like 3 times. I'm like, we're going to die. We're going to the game, Jimmy. Don't worry.
We'll get there.
We get there. It was snowing so bad, Randy McCourt doesn't show up.
Ooh.
Right? So they don't have anyone to sing the anthem. So they just play it. My brother climbs up on his chair. Oh, Canada!
The whole thing.
Sings the whole thing, both songs. There's maybe 400 people in the whole garden.
Yeah, no one could get
there.
there.
It's a blizzard, right?
Yeah.
The whole night, people come, hey, buy the guy a beer that sang the song.
Did you pull that one out of Fanatic?
Yeah, no,
Right?
We had the clip of it, yeah.
I learned the hard way how credit cards work back when the Bruins played Edmonton in the Cup.
Yeah.
What was it, 87? When the lights went out?
89.
89.
89.
'Cause I went with my mother, yeah.
Yeah, 89. Yeah, I'm sorry, 89. So I get tickets for every game in every series with the exception of the Canadian series because I couldn't get them.
Yeah.
But I put them on my credit card.
Yeah.
And my then girlfriend was like, oh, yeah, we'll split it. Yeah, and then she split.
Yeah.
And I learned hard that when you max a credit card out, they get a little terse when you don't pay them.
Yeah.
And so I learned about credit cards back from the Bruins playoff, but I didn't give a shit. It was awesome. Yeah. And Craig Janney, he walking out of the garden, hey Craig, you know he played at BC and he knew a buddy of mine, and he just kept walking. No shit. And I was like, really, dude? So ever since then. Yeah, I'm hoping he plays in an alumni event.
My father, I came home from school and I was like, can I go to the game? Can I go to the game? My father's like, yeah, you're going to go watch Edmonton go lift the cup. And I'm like, no, I'm not. The Bruins are winning. But it was cool to see the Stanley Cup lift.
Oh, yeah.
The one in Chicago, Rooney did the game.
Yeah, that's right.
And so got family tickets. We had 6 of them. And the second Chicago won it, my mother split, went upstairs, went right out the thing. She goes, nope, I'm not watching someone else lift the Stanley Cup in Boston. Not going to happen. She got right out of there. That's my voice of impression of my mother.
Not accurate.
Yeah. She's a smoker. Yep, big time smoker. Yep, she's ripping the... ripping the butts.
Deb, I know that's not how you talk. I'll hit him for you after.
Did you touch the cup? Have you ever touched?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually got a picture with Terry Koharski in Chicago, and Chicago actually did win it.
Yeah.
Their farm team had it,
Yeah.
and I got a picture with it in our ref uniform and stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
That's the one thing I've never done. In all my years of hockey, I've never touched the Stanley Cup.
I've had the opportunity to touch it, but I won't touch it. I won't touch it because they say it's bad luck to touch it before you win it. And I'm holding out hope that maybe, someday I'm
The Bruins need a big defenseman to take up some space in front of the net.
Big, slow, dumb guy that can't skate backwards and is going to look for moms in the crowd.
Yeah.
It's always at the they did 2 All-Star games too in the coast of the American League that they always bring the cup there too.
Yeah.
So it's funny. My brother is the Bruins dentist I've mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So I'm watching the Bruins game a couple weeks ago, and they show the parade back in 2011.
Yeah.
He's on Brad Marchand's duck boat.
Yeah.
And sure as shit, they show Marchand. It was his when they were doing this 1,000 game, and
Oh yeah.
And there's my brother right next to Marchand on the boat, laughing, talking with him.
Oh, that's cool.
I text him. I said, I just saw you on Nesson. And I'm like, and he was on his boat, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now, speaking of TV, you did some Olympia sports ads back in the day.
So did you, my friend.
Well, thanks to you. I was cast, I think appropriately, as a mailman.
As a disgruntled mailman.
Yes,
with a heavy
disgruntled.
Boston accent.
I played it well.
I was going down my list going, who's got a thicker accent than me? Riley.
Well, you know what? Let's take a look at it right now. Here's the Olympia sports ad. 72 Com Ave.
You got it.
Then 24 Beacon.
Okay.
Then 241 Atlantic.
What?
Then 48 French Street.
What are you, a mailman?
Yeah, what are you, a cabbie?
Yeah.
Well, then head over to the Hackett, 17 Chatham Street.
Don't you guys usually walk your route?
Feet are killing me.
It's those shoes, man. We'll take you to Olympia. There's one right around the corner.
The best selection of Saucony footwear. Shop with confidence. Satisfaction guaranteed. Saucony running shoes. Get it for less at Olympia Sports.
Now, what's funny about that? We take one take. I think we only did one or two takes.
Did 1 or 2 takes.
Yeah.
We were super efficient on those.
Very professional. Well, of course.
I don't know if professional is the right word.
Well,
efficient.
All right, efficient.
Quick.
Well, I think because I just read my script basically was the mail.
It's the mail.
So I didn't even have to remember anything. I just said Hackett's, and it was all written out on the mail, so it made it easy for me.
Is that store even still around in Olympias?
They went out of business.
Did
They closed everything recently.
Was it COVID?
No, but it was for many years. It was the local one.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, they were everywhere.
The one
And
to go to.
I used to always go there.
Those ads came about from one of those golf tournaments you talk about.
Yep.
And I ended up playing with the guy who owned the company. And we started talking, and I'm a big Red Sox guy as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we started talking about, they used to run 3 commercials during every Red Sox game, and it was just a slate with some graphics on it. And I said, you guys waste your money. This is, as a Red Sox fan, as a diehard fan, I've seen it a million times. It's never made me remember you guys. And he goes, well, what are you saying? I go, you should make something, make a funny commercial. And he goes, well, why don't you write something up? And I really wasn't pitching. I was just trying
Matter of fact.
Yeah,
right.
I was just like, I watch the game every night. These commercials kind of bug me.
Right. Yeah.
Well, did I end up bugging Red Sox Nation? So I ended up writing a few commercials. I went up and showed him, and he was like, these are great. You want to make them for us? And I was like, yeah, sure. He goes, you got guys? And I went, yeah.
I'll get guys.
And so I went home and called some guys and said, you guys know how to do this? And a buddy of mine, Lou, he's like, yeah, we can make these happen. So
perfect.
We put a bunch of them together. We put a whole bunch of Boston comics in them.
Oh, that was the best part is Jimmy took care of everyone.
That's awesome.
Like, every one of those ads were Boston comedians.
Yeah.
We all were in them somewhere, somehow.
Was Lenny Clark in one of them?
Lenny wasn't in them, no. But the softball one.
Softball one was fantastic with Jenny Finch.
Oh my God! And that was the best one we did, and we had all my buddies in that one.
Oh, everyone was in
Yeah,
it. PJ
it
and
was
Danny
fun.
Miller, everyone was in that one.
Yeah, they were fun to make, and I made them for I think I made them for 4 or 5 years, and they ran during the Red Sox games for 162 games. Wow. They ran 3 times a game, so they were great for all the comics.
Right,
but people got really sick of the cab driver going, there's one right around the corner. That was me.
Yeah, right. I remember the cab driver.
Yeah, I was the cab driver. So that's how the whole thing got put together. Is I was like, whoa, I could bring this guy. And so I'm on a cruise ship. I'm doing a gig a cruise ship gig. I fly to Alaska to get
Anchorage.
I think so.
Yeah, great spot.
Well, I fly there to get on the boat, and I'm in this little town. There's nothing, and I'm there a day or two early, and so we go into this pub, my wife and I, and I'm having a steak, and she's eating crab legs, and I see this guy kind of give me the stink eye, and I'm like, oh, here we go, The guy comes over, and I'm like, and he goes, you're the cab driver. Yes, sir, I am. What part of Boston you from? He goes, Providence, Rhode Island. Give my man a drink. Yeah.
Those ads reach far and wide.
Everywhere.
Far and wide.
I mean, I've since been on bigger things, but I'm telling you, the first time I sat in the Caesars Palace Sportsbook watching a Red Sox game amongst all the other games, and there's the taxi cab, and I'm sitting there with 14 degenerate gamblers at 2:00 in the afternoon. And I'm like, hey,
That's me. Beep. That's I know what's up. Beep. Right? That's how it starts. Yeah. That's how it starts. I had more fun doing that. And what's funny is, I got the shoes. The Saucony shoes.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know how to pronounce Saucony before that commercial. I thought it was Saucony. I had no idea, right?
Yeah.
But I got the shoes. But when I'm in there, the four musket guys from the Patriots were doing one. Yeah. And they were in there with their guns and everything. Yeah. It was hilarious.
Yeah,
absolutely hilarious.
I had the
muskets.
the Minutemen.
Yeah.
And they get in the cab, and I go, where two fellas? And the guy goes, Paul's house. And I go, you got to be more specific. And I go, oh, that Paul.
I remember that one. Yes.
Yeah. We had a whole bunch, and then we got we got a few of the Red Sox players. We got Eck.
Oh, Eck's awesome.
Eck was awesome.
Yeah.
And Eck is just so
He was
funny.
the best on the
On
the calls. He
Yeah.
was so good.
I loved watching Eck games. He
Yeah,
was
me too.
just
They were
the
my
best.
favorite.
But I got to, I wrote this commercial just for him, and then I got to direct him,
Oh, that's pretty cool.
and I had him in and out in about 20 minutes.
He must have loved that.
And he made a bag of money, and he goes, "Hey, you can call me anytime you want." Yeah, Eck was the best, man.
I got sneakers.
Yeah, you got sneakers.
No, you
and every
paid
other
me.
you and every other comic got sneakers and T-shirts. But there was one year.
Catherine Tappan did one.
Catherine Tappan,
She shouldn't be with a mailman. though.
Heidi Watney.
Heidi Watney. Yeah,
Watney
that's
did one.
Yeah.
Who else? Eck, TC, Don Orsillo,
Oh, yeah.
Justin Masterson, pitcher for the Red Sox, and
remember him.
I think he was a rookie with the Red Sox.
yeah.
Yeah. And I go, "Hey, you're the new pitcher for the Red Sox with the Bugs Bunny's curveball." And he goes, "Yeah, Justin Masterson." I go, "Nah, Rusty something." And he goes, "No, it's Justin Masterson."
Rusty something.
Yeah. Oh, and the best one was John Lester, right? 'Cause
Oh, yeah,
I
he
get
did
John
one.
Lester, and I go, "Where to, pal?" And he has his glove in his hand, and he goes, "Take me to the ballpark." I love that. I've seen people rip that off since, but I love that.
That's a good one.
They were so much fun to do.
Yeah, and I got to do a bunch of them every year, and that was
Yeah.
it was cool.
I had a bunch of I was working at a camp at the time, and a bunch of the 7th and 8th graders who were in my group, they made T-shirts. They took a still of me as the
mailman?
mailman, and they put, "What are you, a cabbie?" And they were wearing the T-shirts. It was hilarious. So
That's awesome.
That was really cool. We gotta. So you had mentioned something to me before, and it has to do with a video that we have that we want you to watch and get your take on it.
Okay.
And it actually involves a team from Alaska.
Oh, all right.
University of Alaska Fairbanks against the University of Arizona, which is just ridiculous, but hockey in Arizona. And basically,
It all starts right here.
it all starts with a guy taking a guy down and jumps him,
Yeah.
and in come the refs.
Where's the camera guy on this one? Hey, wake up. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
All right.
So they all get together. The linesmen are trying to break them up.
Yeah.
It's a basic scrum.
Okay.
Right? Nothing too major. But it gets good, all right, after they break this up. These kids, now, no, there's 16 seconds. If you're listening, there's only 16 seconds left in this game.
Okay.
So this is a referee's nightmare. 3-1.
Game's over.
Game's over,
Yep.
right? No one's winning this game. 16 seconds.
So that's the first scrum.
Yeah.
Now we have a face-off.
And these two kids are going at it over in the side.
Yeah, this is Pride now. You're going to dance, right?
This is right after everything was assessed. They put
Okay.
two guys in the box.
All right.
And
Nothing
of course,
serious, yeah.
what's going to happen? Well, guess what? Of course.
Of course, let's dance. Come on.
Now there's this big shit show in the corner.
Fair fight.
Here we
Selby,
go.
5-on-3.
Yeah, right? I've been on the wrong side of something.
I'm usually the guy on the other side of that glass going like this.
bagging the
Yeah,
glass.
yeah.
Yeah. So this dumpster fire goes on, but while this is going on, what no one realizes is the two guys in the box.
Yeah.
The two guys originally in the box are basically kind of setting up a fight.
Yeah.
Right? And then this is college hockey.
So
Fighting
there's
is
11
not
seconds
allowed.
left. Like, they didn't throw those guys out. They put them in the box. So
Yeah.
now this is going to cut out to...
To what happened. And this was,
now they'll see those two kids at the center ice. They came out of the box.
yeah, two
That was
guys.
the main event.
And
So
they had
wait.
helmets off.
Oh, they
There
came out of
are.
the box?
They came out of the box.
Isn't that a huge, like, you're not supposed to do that?
Huge
Like,
no-no.
Yeah.
And they came out without helmets on.
Love it.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
And
For everybody watching, too, right? This kid, number 10, got kicked off the team for
Yeah.
Arizona. Like, he's done.
Got
As he
kicked off
should.
the team for doing that.
For doing this.
For coming out of the
he's-
box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got an NCAA bid coming up, too.
Yeah.
So, like, it's pretty severe penalties, especially college hockey, because there's no fight. It's not pro hockey.
Right.
Pro hockey, probably 10-game suspension.
Yeah.
And that poor referee, he got ragdolled.
But you got to, I mean, if you're one of the two guys in the box and you're watching everybody on the team dancing with someone else, you got to be looking at the other guy going, "You want to dance? All right, let's do it."
Well, and that's the teaching point, because we talked about this the other night on a Zoom call. If you're going to give penalties at 16 seconds when
Yeah.
kids are fighting,
Yeah.
you give them 10s and get them off the ice.
Get 'em
Right.
out of
You
there.
got to get them out of there. Look at the box.
Look
It's
at the box. It's
packed.
filled.
It's got 6 kids in it. from that's Alaska, right?
Yep.
6 kids in the box, but the video of the 2 kids in the box is what I found fascinating because the guy
and they're still fighting with the 16 seconds left, right?
16 seconds. Yep.
They go back at it again.
But the penalty box attendants are the ones that really messed up because they let the guys out of the box.
Right.
And that's just a complete no-no.
Did they or did they jump out?
There's a video of it where they kind of
come out. I don't have it on my computer, but I got it on my phone.
Yeah, we'll show that. But they basically are standing there and they're jarring at each other. They're all right. So we'll watch it now. They're jarring at each other and they open the box and out they go and they just start smoking each other. So the reason why I wanted to watch that was you had a little business enterprise back in the day.
Just get out there. The girl attendant. Yeah, in the box. Yeah,
there
you go.
She just lets him out.
Lets him right out.
Yeah,
And
that's
they
what I
just
would
went
do
out.
too. You want to dance? You go ahead. I'm not going to stop you.
Of course. And we would have done the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you had a little endeavor with hockey fights back in the day.
Oh, I loved hockey fights. And this is, again, I'm dating myself, but this is pre-internet where there were hockey fans all around the country, most in Canada too, and they would tape the games. And if there was a fight, they would trade the tapes with other hockey fight fans. And so we would send tapes around. There was one guy that would dub them, and you could buy the fight tapes. So,
now, when you say tapes, just for the young people listening or watching, we're talking VHS tapes.
Yeah.
This is back in the day when you had to rewind it and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, this is pre-CDs. This is pre-everything.
Yeah, but there was a guy up in Canada that would collect them all. And then you would call him and go, hey, how much for a Ty Domi tape? And he'd say, $30 mailed to your house. And he would send you a tape of 50 Ty Domi fights.
That is awesome.
And we would, when we got the new tape, I had a condo with a bunch of my buddies living there, my brother and a bunch of guys. And we'd be like, we got the new tape. The new tape. We'd cook dinner and get some beers, put it in, and just watch.
For hours. Yeah.
One fight after another. They were usually like an hour long.
Yep.
But it was a 3-minute fight or whatever. And I still have a bunch of them in my garage. I mean, you can find all those fights online now.
Yeah.
But there was one tape out there called Bam Bam Cam. And it's every Cam Neely fight.
Yes.
Oh. And it is the most vicious thing I've ever seen. And, I mean, Domi was phenomenal. The Jay Miller tape is probably 4 hours long, and he maybe loses 2 of those fights.
Yeah.
Stan Jonathan was one of the best.
Stan Jonathan.
That Bouchard-Stan Jonathan fight is one of the all-time.
Yeah.
All
But
time.
he splits them open, yeah.
But if you want to watch a guy just win every one, it's the Jay Miller tape.
No kidding.
Domi was insane.
Probert was
Probert was the toughest guy ever.
animal.
Probert
just
was
an animal.
But we used to just...
And that documentary is good. It's sad, though.
Right.
But very good. But he could throw him, man.
Yeah.
He could throw him. John Winsink. Of course, Terry O'Reilly.
Yeah.
No,
Cashman was the
you know.
lefty, like he used to.
Yep.
But then we would go deep, and then we'd just be like, we'd see a guy in a fight, and we go, hey, call the guy.
So I
See if he has this
got
guy.
this one? Yeah. I got like 22 fights. All right. $12. All right. Ship it.
So I broke my wrist, and I did some research. I was like, well, I'm going to be laid up on the couch, whatever. So I Googled hockey fights on eBay. And this guy sent me, might be the same guy from Canada. It was a guy from Canada. He had every single Bruins fight from like the beginning of time, since whenever they were recorded, all the way up until like whenever, like it was like 2002 or 3.
Yeah.
And I had every single Bruins fight, every single one of them. And I still got the DVDs. Every once in a while, I'll pop them in.
Yeah.
And they just go. It's unbelievable.
When I worked at Nesson a few different times, but the best one was when I did the Red Sox pregame show when I was on that, because they just kind of let me do whatever I wanted to do, silly things. But I could go into the archives and I could find anything I wanted. And
That's gotta be
and I would go in there and go. But I was basically in there just watching hockey fights for myself.
Right.
Like nothing I was going to use for the. I'm doing the. Hey, you get the Bruins game from '92.
They play the Rangers and Bill Murray hit a guy with a shoe.
I remember once going. Hey, do you got a game from 2002, like the 7th inning against Baltimore? And they're like, yeah, probably. Give me an hour, Jimmy. I'll find it. Why, are you guys going to use it for Fanatic? No, my cousin caught a foul ball. I'm like, get the hell out of here. But that's what it was like back in the day.
I don't know how you got fired.
Right.
Dude, when I used to have a pass to Fenway. Because
That is awesome.
back in the day, Nesson used to be built right into Fenway.
Right.
And there was a door that said, do not enter from the other side of Fenway. And it looked like an electric door or something. But it was the offices of Nesson. And we would go in there at night and we'd be editing the Fanatic stuff. And it'd be a nice night. There's no one in the park. We get Chinese food and we go sit in the park.
Yeah.
And we'd just be sitting there eating out of styrofoam, sitting there looking at Fenway Park. And I'm like, this is pretty cool.
You ever go in the dugout, pick up the phone, and let it ring in the? Yeah, of course.
I
Everyone
got
does.
that picture, yeah.
Yeah, everyone does that if they break into Fenway.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I broke into Fenway, but
Yeah.
everyone does that if they get in there.
I took a couple of naps in there. Legit naps in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's absolutely awesome.
It's like Griff. Our buddy works security over there, so he's always in there.
Well, it's different
Gets
now.
up
I
with
mean,
a Green Monster.
it all changed after the World Series. But so I was doing this traveling fan thing with the Red Sox, and I was going to other stadiums during the 04 run. And then about 3/4 of the way through, I got fired over a joke they didn't like. Happens. But I had a press pass for the whole season. So every couple of nights I'd just go in and go, I'd just go in and watch the game. And
Freaking awesome.
And every time I go by the thing, I go, beep, beep. Yeah, all right. And
Waiting for it to cancel.
And then the playoffs start, and I was like, I'll never get in now. Beep, come on in, Jimmy. And I had there was an usher that became a friend that was working up on it was the Budweiser deck at the time, and he would hold that furthest rail. He would hold that standing spot for me. Mm-hmm. So when I was working there, I would do my thing, my hit with the fans before the game started. As soon as the game started, I'd go up there and I'd watch the game. And I'd stay up there for the whole, whole night. But then after I got fired, still go up there and he'd hold it for me, and then I'd go get a couple of hot dogs, and there you go.
That's awesome.
And I watched that whole run.
That's awesome.
All of 04. And every night I go in there and go, this will be the night. Beep.
Wow.
Perks, baby.
Yeah,
Take advantage of it.
I had a press pass in the 04 season, and I went to Yankee Stadium, and I'm sitting there in the press box in Yankee Stadium, right? I mean, that's the most famous press box in the world.
Imagine.
And I go in, and the guy, I can clearly see, I don't know what I'm doing. And he goes, new guy. I go, yeah. And he goes, don't sit in the first 2 rows. No cheering in the press box. The hot dogs are over there. Beautiful, right? So I sit down in the 3rd row, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm watching the game, and they had these legendary. It was $1. There were $1 hot dogs in the press box, and that's why the writers were all so big. Because they just sit there and eat hot dogs. So I'm on like 9th hot dog or whatever, and I'm sitting there watching the game, and I'm in just absolute heaven. And Mike Lupica sits down next to me, and so I look at him, and he looks at me, and I go, "You're Mike Lupica." Yes, I am. Who are you? I go, I'm Jimmy Dunn from Boston. He goes, really? I couldn't tell by the accent. I go, I got to tell you, man, I'm a huge fan. And I read everything Mike Lupica wrote.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And he's like, all right, Jimmy Dunn. And he was really cool. He started asking me questions about Boston. But I thought it was just the coolest thing. We were in New York for 3 days with the Red Sox. And the next morning, I walk out to the lobby, and there's a paper, and there's Mike Lupica. He just wrote a story about last night's game. I was sitting there
Right next to him.
While he was writing.
Right.
while I was writing, and
You didn't make the article?
no, I didn't make the article. Yeah, I was sitting next to this big dumb loud guy from Boston who ate 9 hot dogs. No, but I always wanted. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a sports writer, and I was horrible in English class, and so they discouraged me from that. But here I am sitting watching this guy that was doing that job, and it was just the coolest moment. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, Yankee Stadium is pretty cool.
No, what's funny is you mentioned the writing thing, but now you've written multiple sitcom episodes.
Yeah, I wrote a
for
couple.
different shows. LOUDERMILK being one of them.
Yeah, I co-wrote a couple of episodes of a show called LOUDERMILK with Peter Farrelly and our buddy Jackie Flynn, who's another comic.
Great show.
It's a really cool.
I can
It's
check
a
it out.
really cool show that nobody saw because it was on a network that kind of folded at the very beginning.
Okay.
But just recently, Netflix grabbed it.
Yeah.
They dropped all 3 seasons, and now people are watching it. And it's real. I'm really proud of it because it's a couple
Awesome.
of. I wrote some really cool stuff, and I got to sit there with Peter Farrelly, one of the greatest writers of all time, and he gave me pointers and tips, and we wrote this script together. And it's amazing to see like people going, it'll come on and say, written by Jackie Flynn, Peter Farrelly, and Jimmy Dunn. And they go, Peter Farrelly's got an Academy Award. Jimmy Dunn? From the Sub Shop? Jimmy Dunn? Yeah.
But the 2 episodes you wrote,
Yeah.
by far the funniest 2 episodes.
Oh, thanks, man.
And I mean that, seriously.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of cool. You wanted to be a writer, they discourage you, and now
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
writing
yeah.
is impeccable. I mean,
Well,
it is. Comedy-wise.
Comedy-wise,
Comedy-wise.
I work hard on that. I should always think I should be writing more. But as you know, that's the challenge. You gotta write. You gotta write. And it's like, if you're a musician and you write a great song, you can play that song forever. Right. If you're a comic and you write a great joke, they go, what else you got?
Yeah. Or you don't want to do it again if you do the show.
Yeah.
That was a week ago with you and I.
Yeah.
I had done this show the last year, and I'm in my head going, what did I do? What did I do?
Yeah, but
turns out there's like, out of the 2 shows, 10 people were there last year. Out of like 150.
Even if it was 100 people, we're such narcissists. Like,
Yeah.
oh, they're gonna remember all my jokes. They don't remember you the second they laugh.
No, I even looked at the video I had from last year to see what shirt I wore, so I wouldn't wear the same shirt. Like an idiot. Like someone's gonna go, he had that same shirt on last year. No one cares.
Nobody.
But that's how our crazy brain works.
Yeah.
We wrote a couple of things. I remember coming up to the house in Hampton, and we wrote some scripts for hockey shorts.
hockey stuff, yeah.
That I have been sitting in my computer since then, but we are now going to film coming up. About the bags and about this and about that.
I'll believe that when I see this. Just the fact that you're actually here with a couple of microphones, actually doing this podcast that you've been talking about for 25 years, is an absolute miracle. And I love you like a brother, and I'm so happy that you finally put this together. But I'm tired of hearing about it. Right?
I wish I could say that wasn't true, but
I mean, honestly, we started talking about this, 5-6 years ago?
Yeah.
Like, we got to do something,
Yeah.
Like, we started doing this, we do this Monday night training thing we do every Monday night, called the Monday Night Zoom. We get on, anywhere from 75 to 150 officials. And, just we show a bunch of video, beat us up, and, make us better.
Yeah.
yeah,
And then this kind of popped up.
there's morphed into it.
Yeah.
And now we have merch.
Yeah.
And we have we're planning live podcasts
we got
and
guests.
coming up.
Yeah,
You
you're
know?
killing it.
So I'll tell you what, when this thing explodes,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you're the first ever non-hockey, non-referee we've ever had on the show.
I appreciate
Now,
it.
granted, it's episode 8, but it's we could have had him on earlier, but we wanted to wait.
Next
and,
week you'll have the kid from the Dunkin' Donuts across the street. Hey, we need a guest. You know any hockey stories at all? Come on.
You watch the Bruins?
you like refereeing? Be like the guy
Can
in.
you skate?
Please welcome Devin Marquardt.
You ever spend time in a Turkish prison camp? No. Anyway, I think that's going to be a wrap. Jimmy,
This
thanks
was
for coming
awesome.
on. This
Of course,
was a lot
buddy.
of fun.
I appreciate it.
And you can catch Jimmy on FRASIER. Coming up,
Paramount Plus, the
Paramount
new
Plus.
season of FRASIER, and it's really, really cool and fun. And if you love sitcoms like I do,
It's a great show.
It's so cool to be part of that. So,
No, it's not only a great show,
Check
but
it out.
you're great in it.
Thank you,
And
man.
again, I don't say that. Matter of fact, your line is in when you turn on the preview.
Yeah.
You're Fraser Crane. That's the first thing you hear is your voice.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's awesome. The first time it came on, I wasn't watching, and I go, "That's Jimmy," right away because I knew it was you.
When I got into the show, and I'm just like I said, I'm a tiny part of it. And then they do the press release for the show, and there's the picture on the cover of the New York Times art section, right?
Yep.
And
I know the
somehow
picture.
I'm in the middle going. And when I saw it,
Wasn't it in Rolling Stone
I
too?
was in Rolling Stone,
Yeah.
Esquire magazine. Just recently with season 2, I'm in Variety. That picture went everywhere, and it's
That's pretty cool.
it's pretty damn cool.
Pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now let me tell you the list of the Chinese restaurants that I'll be performing at next week.
Well, that's what we do.
That's what we do.
We do. That's what we do.
The stop at the Calhoun,
Right?
Takeout.
That's a place we both played.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, well, Jimmy, thanks for coming on.
Thank you
Right
very
on.
much.
And again, thank you to AOA Studios here, where we tape our podcast, and also to our sponsors, Referees Crease. We have Moby Cuts and also Berardi Irrigation. Want to thank you guys for watching and listening. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. Check us out on all our social medias, and go to our website, chirpingzebras.com,
And
to
comment
order
below.
merchandise. And comment below, good, bad, or indifferent. We will answer you. So
I
that's
won't.
gonna.
I won't
yeah.
answer you.
Jimmy won't answer you,
I'm
but
busy.
one of us will. And you might not like the answers, but we'll answer you for sure. And so that's gonna wrap up episode 8. And we're gonna play some more of your stand-up on the way out, because Jimmy's one of the funniest people I know, one of my best friends in this business, and we're gonna take it out with you.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for watching.
I started gambling when I was very young. My Uncle Sully was a bookie when I was a kid. That's the most Boston sentence you're going to hear tonight. I was 7 years old. My Uncle Sully was running his book out of a sandwich shop in Beverly, Massachusetts. Yeah. And I said, this little kid, I was 7 years old. I'm sitting there at the counter, and some guy comes in and orders a cheesesteak, and he gives Uncle Sully $604. I'm sitting there going, hey, Uncle Sully, I think that guy paid you too much. Uncle Sully goes, no, we're gambling, kid. That's what men do. We bet on football. And I idolized my Uncle Sully. I was like, oh, Uncle Sully, can I bet on football like men? He goes, what are you, 8 years old? I go, 7. He goes, I don't know. You got any birthday money? Just like that. Next thing you know, I'm a gambler.